Hey everybody, Z Garcia here. Today I'm going to be taking a look at a dice game inspired by Herbaceous, a card game I really enjoyed. This is Herbaceous Sprouts. In this game, all the players together are planting a garden, but you are not cooperating. You are trying to get the most points possible. And you are going to be gathering different herbs, different flowers from the dice, and different abilities as well. You are going to be drafting cards with dice on them. Those cards also have special abilities. And then you are going to be taking turns planting out onto the garden, taking up spots that the other players will no longer be able to go to. So let's go ahead and take a look at how this works. We'll come on back after that. I'll tell you what I think of it. In the game, each player is going to get one of these tiles, which represents their wheelbarrow that can hold their dice there. It gives you a player aid across the bottom and the side there as well. And then you have the matching tokens, all of your tokens. What you're trying to do is use dice in order to plant different herbs and some flowers as well. And the garden here is split into 4 areas. These 4 right here, okay? Each one with a different necessity as to allowing you to plant there. So you need a different combination to deploy one of your tokens there and then get victory points. So for example, this area up here requires you to have different kinds of herbs. And let's say I go there with 3 different herbs. I'll be able to go to this area right there. That's going to net me 3 victory points as listed next to that spot. And so multiple turns will happen, and at the end of the game, whoever has the most points with all of that combined is going to be the winner of the game. These cards over here show you the different herbs that you will be able to find on the dice. So you have these here, and then also different flowers that you are going to find on those dice as well. You can use these as a reference, but I just set them aside. I don't really need them anymore. And then here are the dice. They come in 4 different colors, and each color has something special besides having all of those herbs showing. So for example, the blue dice, and that's all that information's right here, has one face which is wild, and you can make that face be whatever spice you want, whatever herb you'd like. And the other ones all have their special things as well, like the green one being the only type of die that has flowers, which are necessary for this area down here. And so every round's going to go like this. Let's say we're playing with 4 players, all right? I'm going to go ahead and move this aside for now. We take the deck of shuffled cards. The number of cards is dependent on the number of players, and we flip over one more than the number of players. So in this case, if I'm playing with 4, I'm going to flip over 5 of these cards. The cards are going to show you symbols, and they are going to show you spots for dice at the top. So that's the first thing we do. We grab the bag of dice here, and we are going to pull out some and roll them and place them on the card. So that one takes 1. The next one here takes 3. So I'll go ahead and roll 3 of these and put them on there. And I do that for every one of them. Once this is done, then the players are going to take turns, starting from the start player, drafting these cards. And they are going to get the dice on them, and they are going to get the special abilities as listed on the card as well. So there we go. That's it for the round. And then our start player is going to take a look at all these things, and they are going to take 1. The wheelbarrow limits how many dice you can hold, as up to 7. And the special powers, the special symbols, are listed down here on the side. So for example, I'll show you some. The glove here allows for a reroll. The pot over here you can save next to your wheelbarrow there, and it counts as 1 extra die with that face on it. The shovel here allows you to plant a flower if you have one. The box here allows you to change that face on a die to anything else you'd like. That's the same as that, basically, with a different symbol. And then the watering can here is going to allow you to trade 2 identical seeds, 2 identical dice, basically, to plant 1 flower without having to have that flower. So, I am going to go ahead and start. So I'm going to take these here. Take those 3. I would take the card. I would use the power if I so choose. I'm going to not worry about that right now. Once I've done all the powers, unless it's one that has the pot, I'm done with it, so I can discard it. And then these 3 that would be on my wheelbarrow, I can now save them, or I could take actions with those, okay? I'm going to go ahead and use them. And it's 3 different. So I go to this 3 different area, and I'm going to take that spot there, taking these dice and throwing them back in the bag. And then the next player would go. And the next player is going to, same thing, pick one of these and do something with it. So they might take, let's say, they're going to take this one over here. They could plant a flower, but they don't have one. So they are going to get rid of that, and they are simply going to save these. Next player would go, they might take that, and they might re-roll it with that power there. All right, that's what they get. And now they could use this or not. So, for example, they could spend that herb and that die, that's 2 different ones, and claim this spot right here. And then they would get rid of the die and the card. Otherwise, they could save that card, and just that card only. The ones with the pots, you can save. And then finally, the last player would go. And the last player is going to take, let's say, this one. They're going to re-roll the die. That's what they've got. They have a flower now. And they'll save both of these, that and the tile. So that it might look something like this. Okay? For that player. And that's it. And then at the end of the turn, the last one is discarded unless you're playing with fewer than 4 players. So let's say we're playing with 3, just to give you an example of how the end of turn goes. If we were playing with 4 players, you just get rid of this, these dice go back in the bag, you set up the next round. If you're playing with fewer players, first of all, you'd have 1 card more than the number of players. Let's say I'm playing with 2 players only. I would have only flipped over 3, and then the last one, the one that did not get taken, is going to deploy one of these tiles. It's just, the type of the generic token that's going to start eating up parts of the board is the idea. It tells you down here in a little flag where this would go, in this case, to the 2 victory points spot on this flower there. So, and then that goes away, and we flip over the new ones. As you can see, some of these cards have a bunch of dice but no power. Some of them even have a bunch of powers but no dice, such as this one here. And then the bag allows you to take 1 die from the dice bag and roll it. So this card gives you no dice technically that you are drafting, but you will take 2 dice, roll them to whatever you get, and then you will have 3 re-rolls on that turn. So that could be really powerful. The different areas on the board are going to be all of the same. So the same spice over here. You need 3 of the same, 4 of the same, and so on. And so, for example, if you are able to play in there, getting you 6 of the same, that's going to be 12 victory points. This area over here is different pairs. So if I have 3 different pairs, for example, I'll be able to get 9 victory points out of that, unless that's taken. And then if I later on get 3 different pairs, I'll have to take the one below it, which is only 7 points. This one over here, I already explained. It's different herbs, up to 5 different ones. And then this area down here for the flowers, you need to have the flower normally, and you need to have the shovel there, and you'll be able to place the flower. So if you're earlier, you're going to get more victory points. 4 points, 3 points, 2 points, respectively, okay? There's also, of course, like I said, that trick where you get to discard 2 dice that are the same and plant, something out there, as long as you have the special ability. The yellow dice you'll see, one of the special faces, the special face, is one of those gardening tools. And so with that die and a flower, I'll be able to plant that. So say, let's find our flower. These 2 dice together, I could cash them both in with a flower and the gardening tool and plant that right there. Okay? So that's how that works. You continue playing until the deck is gone, and then at the end of the game, you're going to add up your victory points. Victory points are going to be all of these tokens. Also, if you have some dice left, that's going to be worth some victory points if they're sitting on your wheelbarrow. And also, the first player to put one of their tokens in all 4 areas is going to net this lemonade card, which is worth 2 victory points at the end of the game as well. So that's a little bonus if you've got every area covered, the first person to do that. And that's it for the game. Besides that, there is a solitaire variant in which you are going to use this card here, a double-sided card, and these cards here to simulate the drafting of another player. and it works very smoothly. It sort of simulates a two-player game in which you are going to be trying to beat this artificial intelligence, if you would. So this is very seamless. It works quite well. I like it. So there we go. Let's go back up top, and let me tell you what I think of it. So there it is. As I said in the intro, I really like Herbaceous. It's a very relaxing little card game with absolutely gorgeous artwork that very much shares an aesthetic with this game. You know, a lot of that artwork is kind of what inspires the dice faces in this one, and just sort of the look and the ambiance of the whole thing. So let's go ahead and dive into it, all right? I'm going to be comparing it a little bit to the original card game, but not too much. They definitely are, you know, standalone products. So I'll say right off the bat, I do like everything just about in this game. It's not the best game ever, but there was nothing that stood out to me as a particularly weak point, save one thing. So let's go ahead and start there, okay? The look of this game is fantastic. The artwork is gorgeous. Materials are, for the most part, very, very nice, except for the dice themselves. They have nice colors. They're very bright, easy to tell apart. But the printing on them leaves a little something to be desired, you know. Some of them are a little less than uniform, you know, the printing on those. And I understand that it's probably really expensive to produce this many dice that all would be, you know, maybe engraved dice or something. And that might not even work that well, engraved dice on something that needs this much detail on the die faces. But the process of, you know, whether it's their hot transfer or screen printed, or I'm not sure what they are, there is some irregularity to them. So unfortunately, that's a little bit of an issue. You know, they don't always look good. Other than that, the look is fantastic. Theme, I also like very much in this. It's a refreshing theme. It's just bright and it's enjoyable, and even if it is competitive, I still feel like it's a welcoming idea, welcoming topic, you know. The game scales really well, so replayability is high for me. It plays 1 through 4 players, and I think it plays excellently at all the player ranges. The 1-player version in this is really good. It feels just like the base game, the regular game, and even when you're playing with 2 or 3, and you need to deal with that sort of dummy player that puts out tokens, it is seamless. I really enjoy it. So, fantastic. Kudos on that, you know. The game, as far as game length goes, has a nice tension throughout, so it does not outstay its welcome. As you start seeing spots dry up, it's going to start forcing you to make some interesting choices. You know, do I pull the trigger on something now? Do I wait and try to get a better spot in that same category? Do I worry about the 2 points from the lemonade? You know, things like that. And I have to tell you, the scores in this game are tight. Surprisingly tight. I've been really impressed with that. The ease of play is very nice. There's quite a bit going on here. Certainly more than in the card game, I'll say that. That one was a dead simple card game. But the player aids that everyone has in front of them are superb. They really do a good job of bridging that gap between something that could be a little complicated to something that's seamless, you know. So happy about that. And then lastly, tactics, strategy, luck, things like that. There's no denying it. This game has a lot of luck. You're rolling dice. But you are drafting those dice. You're not taking some and then rolling them and seeing what you get. So there's that. And there's a solid amount of manipulation. And it's a 30-minute game or so. So I think the amount of luck in the game is appropriate to the kind of game it is. And I think it works well. This is what you're getting into. It's a dice game. But it's not one of those that you absolutely have no control or choice as to what happens to you. You know, the dice you get. You can make a lot of choices with these dice. So the luck in there is folded into a nice amount of tactics, reacting, drafting, strategy. You know, really enjoy it. So this one gets a big thumbs up from me. This is going to get a strong seal of approval from me. I certainly would recommend it. It's not necessarily a game that I would say is for the people who like the card game. If you like something that's so very relaxing and easy to get into, this has a little more to it, but I think it is just as strong and just as valid a design. So again, a beautiful production here. That is Herbaceous Sprout. Seal of approval from me. Thanks for checking this out, everybody. I'll see you on the next one.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com.